What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Pursuit. I am really excited about my guest today, Yancy Culp. He is the Spartan DEKA co-creator and senior director. And I'm going to give him my own personal introduction because you're like, to me, the way I describe you to people is you're like the real life Captain America for me. Like, I remember our first phone call when you got on the phone with me, and I was just like, all right, I don't really understand what the heck he's talking about, but I'm in. I'm sold. His energy and his enthusiasm, like whatever we're doing, I'm gonna be there. Wherever we have to do it, I'm gonna find a way to get there. And like to me, you just the biggest question I have to start this off all the time is I always ask people, where is the happiness for you in the journey that you've gone through or where you ended up now? Um, and it's kind of the same question for you, but I think not just happiness, where do you find that energy and enthusiasm too that every time I speak to you, anytime I text you, I get a voice message back and you're the same guy every single day? And where do you find that spirit? Where do you get that from? And yeah, where along the road have you picked this up from? Right? Have you just always been like this?
Well, first off, man, I appreciate that intro. I appreciate you recognizing who Wild Crazy Yancy is. I was crazy freaking blessed as a young man who had two parents that I still love dearly, and I get to spend a lot of time with them. They live North Central Texas, north of us. They were these two amazing parents that had to deal with wild ass crazy Yancy going 90 miles an hour, if you can imagine, as a young kid. Doing it at 53 is I think I've still got the same energy, but when you're elementary, middle school, high school age kids, you're just 90 miles an hour, as you can imagine. And they embrace that. In the moment, you don't really realize how amazing your parents are, but they embrace that. They encourage that. I remember them always saying, you're going to find your way.
Hmm.
I remember my dad telling me one time, is like, you're not going to be a CPA behind a closed door crunching numbers. Your head would blow off your shoulders.
Right.
You're going to find your way. And you and I being in the same business in fitness, I always kind of compare. Fitness is such a unique sport. It's 95% of the world probably has no business being in the fitness industry. We we we're encouraged to bring big energy. If it's the Jack LaLanne energy, if it's the Simmons energy, if it's from A to Z, all the greats out there that just loved motivating people in fitness. That's what we do. We all have our own personalities, and it kind of gives me that freedom. It's like, that's not a weird dude. He's in fitness. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be bringing people the love of fitness. And what I always say all the time, the world's most powerful drug: fitness, movement, exercise, mental and physical health and wellness. And you and I and everybody else in the fitness industry have seen it change and save lives. And that's why we love what we do so much. But so it kind of gives, I've always had a free pass as long as I've been in this industry to just don't hold back, man. Just freaking launch out of the gates each day. And when you put your head on the pillow at night, you grade yourself and say, did I bring the big energy? Did I motivate somebody today? So to your question, I really give mom and dad a lot of credit that they didn't shackle me. They didn't put me in a cage, and they let me just be wild, crazy Yancy. So anyway.
And did you has there been situations in your life where you had to tone down, Yancy? Did you have to like have you had jobs that you tried to do that you're like, this is just not where I'm supposed to be? Or like have you had moments on that path where you're like, no, I'm supposed to be the energy guy that gets people to events, that you know what I mean? Like makes things happen, creates these big moments for people.
Yeah, well, I've always said the power of the team. We surround ourselves with good people that can help bring balance to our lives. Where I've struggled the most in my life is like if you put me in a middle school class, a high school class, or a college, class where I'm just sitting there for 45, 90 minutes and I have to stay focused. That's just not my thing. I was in the corporate world. I think I thrived in the military because it was just constant flying by the seat of your pants, work, 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 doing the work of three people, being on a flight deck, launching helicopters. And it was just so much fun traveling all the time. That was a beautiful part of my life. 16 years in the corporate world, but it was unique. I wasn't like sitting behind a spreadsheet, managing the budget all the time. General manager, director of operations in the red carpet aviation sector, we like to call it. We took care of the people that could afford to fly around in $15 million jets. So it was a lot of movement and activity and communication, wheeling and dealing in person or on the phone. And it was a lot of fun. So my corporate world experience was not kind of the typical high-rise building, freaking cross the T's, dot the I's, really super structured. It was fun. And of course, I was moonlighting in fitness the whole time I was in the corporate world. I've been a fitness coach trainer for 25 plus years, own my own fitness businesses. So the moment fitness kind of came into it, what happened was my wife became the full-time director of sports performance nutrition for the University of Texas athletic department. And I had been, this was a long time ago, and I'd been moonlighting with fitness the whole time I was in the corporate space. And I was like, wait a second here. I can freaking dive in head first now, because it's not me with the nice insurance and me with creating the nice foundation of structure and balance. It was like, I could be a little more risky now and go all in. And so it's been an amazing, I'll say things sometimes, but like, I don't know how you fit all this into your life. And I really have. But that's the personality. When you have that personality, you don't say, I get asked to do things all the time. And as long as it doesn't affect me getting to spend the quality time with my kiddos that are playing sports and my family, I'm going to say yes to almost all of it. So I find myself doing fun things all the time and working with companies where it all blends together, where, I work with probably 7 or 8 different companies right now, full-time at Spartan, but I am literally tied in with other companies as well. And I always try to do it in a way where if all those CEOs and C-levels are sitting at a table together, we could all intermingle and kind of work together. So a lot of things in common there.
So it sounds like you've found places and kind of designed your life around your energy level, and like your almost like ADHD, being able to bounce around to different things and just try different things and go. And it sounds like you've had a lot of freedom to be able to explore, like things that excite you, and you're not locked into, this is the way you have to do this job. It's like, hey, here's a problem, Yancy, go find a solution. And you can go and find one, and you'll try 10 different things to find the solution. And
yeah, you nailed it. I've never been professionally diagnosed, but I'm pretty freaking sure that I've got some level of ADHD, and I just try to use that to my advantage. And it's one of those, and I'm sure, maybe you have some listeners and viewers saying, okay, I know where he's coming from. There's times you wake up and you're like, I wish I could step away from the hustle today. But then you go on we have a 5-day vacation coming up. We fly out tomorrow. And I have to coach myself up to relax and really enjoy that moment, because I start missing the hustle on day one. And it's this fun battle of like, you love being knee deep in the hustle and communicating and wheeling and dealing and bringing people together and motivating people. And like, I don't know if it's the world's worst or the world's best about, it's like, if somebody has a question, it's like, I was like, here's my number, man. Call me right now. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, as a politician, if you're good, you're trying to earn one vote at a time. If you're a good, gracious, you'll always hit the pause button and allow yourself to be present and in the moment. I always try to do that. So there's sometimes when the evening is over, you're like, all I did today was just talk to people. Yeah. I just my day was filled with, and half of them I'd never talked to before. And I'll say, hey, listen, we got to jump on a Google Meets call so I can see you. I want to see your face. Have we'll toast the coffee and try to make it as personal as possible. Dude, I just freaking love life, man. You're not going to find a human on planet Earth that loves life more. And I am constantly failing forward, falling flat on my face and finding a way to get up. But some of that is you need to tell yourself that you love life. And I remind myself every day how crazy blessed I am. But no matter how much money you have, you don't have 2 pennies to rub together. You got millions of dollars in the bank. billions of dollars in the bank. If you're not reminding yourself that, wait a second, I'm blessed to be alive and kicking today, as Simple Minds said back in the freaking 80s. That's
Mhm.
I'm blessed, dude. I'm blessed because I get another day, and I know that sounds cliche, but I really mean that. That's what's going on in my brain every day.
Yeah. And so to bring it to where you're at now with DEKA as the co-creator and senior director, and it's been going now, we're coming on 6 years or five and a half,
We're
somewhere around
five. We're 5 full years now.
5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Launched in 2019,
December, yeah.
which for something in person, and I think I remember you talking about your goal was to have big events, right? Kind of like, just travel around and just do DEKA fits originally, right? Like you were going to put on the events just like Spartan did with the mud races. And then was it a pivot during COVID that allowed you to create what you created now?
Yeah, early on in the process, we knew we were gonna at some point in time that the affiliate program would be the biggest piece of what we do.
Okay.
But yeah, COVID did rip the rug out from under us, and we had about 3 months in the old abandoned Kmart, R&Ding and planning and scheming and testing hundreds of people in that 100-pound overweight category, along with the cyborgs and everybody in between. And we said, we're not leaving here until everybody's crossing the same finish line with
Hmm.
DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile, and DEKA Fit. And COVID, we had an event coming up, and about 2 weeks prior to game day, man, COVID ripped the rug out from under us, and we shed the tears for a couple days. And we're like, listen, we went back to the drawing board and said, let's fast track the affiliate program. We quickly realized that Florida was on a little different, let's call it a little different COVID pathway than the rest of the country.
Hmm.
They were not shutting things down. We were able to get into gyms and launch road shows. I mean, there was a little bit of COVID down there. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
want to say they weren't participating at all, but there was just the whole state didn't shut down like most other states, and we were able to hold a bunch of road shows throughout mid 2020, being as careful as we could be. And DEKA kind of launched down there, and you fast forward to today, it's 370 gyms that have held 2,300 revenue generating events, and hundreds of thousands of people have tested their fitness. But yeah, man, it was COVID did kind of tweak the plan a little bit early on.
Yeah. And like that could have been the end of DEKA, right? If
Mm-hmm.
we look at it from another perspective, we've got it all set up. We tested all these people. We want to do these big events. Okay, just bad timing. Um, let's try something else later on. But that pivot to me is what I love about DEKA. It's so unique compared to any other affiliate program because I can tell it was designed by someone who's been in gyms and who loves gyms and who loves gym owners, because it's not about, hey, we want your athletes to come to us. It's not like, okay, you have this audience that we want. It's like, hey, together we're going to share this audience and we're going to create moments for your gym, for your people, for your athletes. And
Mm-hmm.
we're going to support that. Not the other way around, that we just want all your people to know about us. And for me, that's something that is really special that you've created that I haven't really seen before. You know what I mean? It's
Well,
looking back, the only thing I can compare it to is when CrossFit first started, and it was just about like, hey, we just want you to experience this, you know?
yeah. Well, let's look at that. Let's dive a little deeper into that. You know, this is the guy that's been coaching fitness for 25 years. I've probably coached 6,000-7,000 group exercise classes in and out of gyms. Sometimes by myself with 100 people, and I'm coaching that class with 100 people. Um, I've I've dealt with thousands of people, and I say dealt with it in a beautiful way, where you learn. I'm speaking to the choir here. You learn why so many people are too nervous to walk into a gym class, or say yes to that, to walking in and knocking on that door with the butterflies in the belly and say, I'm gonna take a stand today, and I'm gonna start becoming a better version of myself. I'm gonna be selfish with my time and start being a better version. And you learn how to crack that code. The research shows anywhere from 70 to 80% of people in your community in Atlanta, my community here in North Austin, and all over the country, and probably other countries, about 70, 80% have never had a gym membership. They're overweight, they're unfit, they're not on a good fitness journey, they didn't play sports growing up, and they currently do not have a freaking gym membership.
Mm.
That's the norm. Our regulars at our gym every day is not the norm. Okay. They are the smaller of the group. So, I've always been crazy focused on how do I crack the code to get those people more comfortable to come in? How do I crack the code to get our current members really excited to put their coaching hat on and invite the friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors in and say, I promise you, this was designed for all levels. You may not be very fast, but I'll be your judge and I'm going to hang a medal around your neck when you're done. And if you're still too nervous about doing it by yourself, I'll be your teammate and we'll divide and conquer the DEKA arena together. So it was all about, and I told the team early on, I said, this is going to come across a little weird to certain gym members and gym owners, but we're going to tell them right out of the gate that we did not design this for them. They're current gym members. We think they'll love it because they're already used to taking care of themselves. They're competitive. They like seeing their name on a leaderboard. They like testing their fitness. We've, with maniacal focus, built it for the 80% in Atlanta, in your case, that have never had that gym membership, but they live right down the road from you. And we get them in there and they realize the power of the world's most powerful drug, fitness, movement, exercise. And like, whoa, that was amazing. So it had to be for all levels. It had to be challenging for the cyborgs where they're turned inside out when they're done. But in that same arena on the same day, using the exact same standards, everybody could come in and cross that finish line. They're just going to be slower. So then what happens is we get that person across the finish line. The chances of them pushing fitness out of their life just diminished because like, whoa, that was pretty cool. And I had a good time in a gym today, a club. They told me about this whole celebrating fitness thing. And that kind of resonated with me. And now I'm going home with a medal around my neck and this t-shirt, and I crossed my first finish line. I might do that again. And I might actually come to class because here's the deal. I travel the country with Michael Caron and Get Burley, and we talk about non-debatables. We do mental and physical conditioning camps all over the country with middle school, high school, college, corporate groups. And we talk about non-debatables. And sometimes in life, there's things that are non-freaking debatable. And when you can put purpose to a training session, okay, and it's no longer about just breaking a sweat, losing a few pounds or inches, looking better in the bathing suit. And we can tell them, this is where the non-debatable comes in. Every single person on planet Earth is an athlete. At a minimum, when they start their training program, they're training for life. Just being able to get through life with better longevity, quality of life, kind of that Peter Attia approach. And so at a minimum, we're training for life. And if we test that fitness every now and then, we get to that finish line, and then you go back to the drawing board and you come into class, you slowly become one day at a time, become a better version of yourself. And then that mark improves. Ant and team are able to, at Oxfit, are able to bolt on that exact same test every now and then. And Susie's and Bill are faster. Dude, that resonates.
Yeah.
And it can be life-changing. So again, it's not some rocket science program that we develop. It's actually pretty simple. But to your point, our team is built of people that have, tens of thousands of hours working with people in group exercise, having those conversations about why it was so tough to them to say yes, and what do we need to do to keep them cooking, and all those things. So anyway, I went down a couple rabbit holes there, but
no, that's good. Because where did you see that? Is that something that you saw with Spartan? Was there people that would come to like Spartan races and obstacle course races that it was their first time doing anything like that? They'd never been in a gym before. Is that how you saw that was something that it's not only the like fire breathing super athletes that are coming, it's people that want to cross the finish line?
Yeah, DEKA was really a unique add-on to us. And I, kind of had to sell this to Joe. And luckily Joe said yes. Joe DeSena, owner, founder, CEO of Spartan, great dude. Is that we're going to broaden our bookends. We've pulled 15 million people off the couch with the mud and the barbed wire and being unbreakable and all things crazy hard and Spartan the F up. And you've seen how completely turned inside out an elite level athlete is when they finish a DEKA Strong, a DEKA Mile, a DEKA Fit, or the team division. They're completely turned inside out. But we just now have this start line that 99% of, in your case, Atlanta can walk up to the start line and they're all going to finish.
Yeah.
99%, 99+% without failing a single thing, doing it exactly how you and I did it. You go to a Spartan race, which I freaking love. That's how I met Joe. I was about 30 hours into his my 72-hour Spartan death race. Long story there, but it's like, you're going to fail a lot of things on game day, and that's good. That failure is good. With DEKA, it's like it did really broaden that book in. I'm going to be able to bang my chest and said I did it all exactly how designed. I was just way, way slower. So a little different spin on the psyche. And then now with DEKA Atlas, we do have our piece it's not for all levels. It's really heavy and really hard. But yeah, there was definitely a sense of let's broaden the bookends to get more people to that start line. And then obviously we have some really amazing ways where you can graduate up to the mud and the barbed wire. If it's Tough Mudder, if it's Spartan, if it's the crazy ultras at Spartan and Tough Mudder and some of the other brands that we have in Spartan Trail and all the other things. So there was definitely some, a sense of broadening the bookends and getting people to their very first Spartan start line. And then, when you look at 2,300 events, I mean, there's 10 to 40 events every single weekend globally now where they're walking into a gym just like yours and they're walking up because, as an affiliate, you guys own this. You own the rights to this. This is your logo, and you're the reason Spartan's coming to Atlanta whenever the heck you want to bring it to Atlanta.
Yeah. And the thing that you did, you didn't just create the coolest, trendy.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
The dog. I apologize for the breakup. The dogs are going crazy, so I was just making sure everything was okay.
You didn't just go for the coolest, trendiest thing. You went for something that is effective.
And you might. I got to pause for just 30 seconds. I'll be right back. I apologize.
All good. Love it.
Sorry about that, brother.
No problem. Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, I was just saying you didn't just go for like the coolest, trendiest thing, right? You created something that's effective, like you said, for the top athletes. And yeah, you can go as hard as you want on this workout, but you introduce something that can get as many people as you want to a start line and a finish line, which is something that as a gym owner, like I was a former athlete, I wanted to be a professional athlete, and for me, I can go into any gym and compete, find a way to fit in, work out. I'm going to feel pretty comfortable. Sometimes it's a little bit intimidating even for me, but I can handle that, right? And then for me, creating our gyms, I want people in our gyms to be for anyone that's positive. I want it to be for anybody that is willing to take on a challenge. I want it to be for anyone that has wanted to get better. And I don't want it to be for everyone. I just want it to be for that specific kind of person. And that doesn't mean that you have to be a former athlete. It doesn't mean you have to have all this experience. It doesn't mean you've ever had to walk in a gym before. If you have this attitude, you can get through it. And that's what DEKA also feels like, is like, it's not going to be easy. No one's going to, hold your hand to this finish line. You're going to have to push yourself to get there. Right. And you can, if you want that. And it's pretty cool because like we've been doing this now 10 years. Every year we have a calendar of events that we have on there with like obstacle course races, CrossFit competitions, triathlons. And I see people in the gym that are absolute beasts, like they crush it, but they're still intimidated to go and do something like that because it's exposing. And we're hosting this competition because we're like, hey, you don't have to go 3 hours away and do this. You don't have to travel and spend all this money and do this specific training program. You can keep doing what we do every day. And it's going to be this Saturday at the gym. And you can get a medal and you can finish this thing. And then you can retest yourself again in 6 months. And your level of training will automatically elevate. Your engagement in being in Oxford will go to, you will come in twice a week. You'll be 4 or 5 times a week because you want to get better at that. Right. And that's what's so unique about DEKA. And that's why I can tell that you've spent so much time testing it, retesting it. You've asked gym owners, you've been in gyms, you've coached classes, you understand what it's like from our side, and you understand what it's like from the athlete side, and you don't just want it to be a trendy thing. Like you said, it's not 5 events that were sold out. It's 20. How many events did you say?
I think we had 27 events last Saturday in the United States alone.
Last Saturday, yeah.
Yeah,
And then how many over the last 5 years?
2,300.
2,300 events.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many athletes have been through it?
Well over 100,000. I don't know for sure. You
That's
got me.
crazy.
You got me on that one. But
Yeah.
You said something there. Participatory sports always been around where, as gym owners, fitness business owners, we're always like, well, let's go lean in on whatever's coming to town. If it's the half marathon, or if it's the Spartan, or it's the triathlon, or there's various things, a lot of common things. I love all of them. I've done all of them. I said, a part of the piece of cracking the code is to, especially for the gym members, because a high percentage of gym members are not testing their fitness consistently. If we bolt this on where 99% of the events happen inside the gyms, clubs, studios, and boxes, well, there's a lot of people that are already comfortable with inside those walls. They're going to be comfortable putting their coaching hat on and inviting people in. And if we design it in a way where if you can walk and breathe, if you check those 2 friggin' boxes, there's a damn good chance you can cross the finish line. I said, we got to be very careful when we design the zones. And we need to check these boxes. You don't have to be taught how to do a single thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's low risk of injury and low barrier of entry. Meaning when Bill comes in and watches his wife, Susie, and Susie, who's relatively fit, and Bill's 80 pounds overweight, Bill's watching, and Bill's like, he's thinking the gears are turning. I think I could probably do that. Bill might waltz his ass right over to the check-in counter and sign up and do it that day. He's just going to be slower than his wife. But Bill's going to cross that finish line. And that was extremely important that, when you like when you dive into Yancy's wild brain, I always have people like, Yancy, why don't you have these real heavy weights and these lighter weights? Like, no, I need Bill to be able, he's watching his wife, Susie, but he sees these really fit guys doing it. And when we get Bill's going to say, I did exactly what they did. I got that 60-pounder over my shoulders. I pushed that same sled. I did those same weighted burpees. I did those same lunges. I got on that rower, got on that ski. I did exactly what they did. And I'm not scaled down. No, I did it the same. And now I can go. Oxfit actually talked me into coming and training. And now I'm doing some classes specific to get better at training for life. But also, by the way, I think I'm training for this thing called DEKA now. Well, Bill did it in 37 minutes, and he comes back 6 months later after a couple mesocycles of training, and Bill does it in 29 minutes, and he's an 8-minute better version of himself. Yeah, he's not qualifying for world championships, but he sees his name on a leaderboard 6 months later, 8 minutes faster. It's not rocket science, and that sport takes place inside his community where his wife trains. She's never been able to talk Bill into coming, but now Bill's like, maybe I'll come. Or maybe it's Susie's friend Jill from work that she's never been able to talk into coming and training, and she gets her on her team. They cross that finish line. So there was so much method to the madness with the design around creating that globally recognized sport for all levels. I love watching sports from the couch. We all do it all the time, but this is the sport where, you can go to the Super Bowl, the World Championships, and watch the top 15 compete. And you can do that from the couch even now on watch the live feed. But every year, as many times as you want to, you can actually test. And so that training has more purpose. And so we're just trying to crack the code of getting more people comfortable walking. Because this is another non-debatable. 100 years ago, we did not need gyms, dude. We weren't needed 100 years ago. Right now, we are needed more than ever. We need structured environments where people can go. There's a dramatically larger percentage of people. I live in suburban Cedar Park, Texas, north of Austin. I have to be very creative to keep my kids active. They play sports, of course, but we have to be. I grew up on a farm. There's way less people out using this beautiful machine to do actual work. That's a non-debatable. So that gym environment where Oxfit can provide me with a 3 to 4 day a week training program that makes a lot of sense to it about me rolling into my 50s, 60s, and 70s, being a good version of myself. I need Oxfit. I need that gym environment. It was not needed 100 years ago. So Now we can provide more purpose to that training, and we can call it training because you are bolting on a fitness test a couple of times a year. It is training. Believe in the fact that you are an athlete. Okay. So that all resonates. As a good coach and trainer, I know I'm speaking to the choir.
Yeah.
These are the type of things every coach and trainer needs to be saying to their people all the time. You are an athlete. We are awesome freaking job for you today for saying yes and being selfish with your time and walking into the gym and saying this 50 minutes is Yancy time. By serving myself, I will be able to then serve my home, my cul-de-sac, my city, my state, my country, my planet better because I'm a better version of myself mentally and physically because I take care of myself. When we have those type of conversations, you will set your hooks in that. It's the healthiest. You just got them addicted to the world's most powerful drug, dude. That's what we do as coaches and trainers. And all the good ones know the power in that communication. And people waltz into that gym. They blow that door off the hinges when they walk into Oxford every day, and they're excited for it's their time. It's my time to shine right now and take care of myself. So
and like you said,
this feeds into that.
The World Championships, like you said, it's really cool to see them people do that. Like, it's amazing, but it's not as amazing as seeing someone finish it for the first time who didn't think they could do it, who's overweight, who wants to come back and beat their time. Like, that is the most amazing part of it, and that is the beauty of the DEKA strong, fit, and mile. With DEKA Atlas, that's a new thing that we have in a couple of weeks here at Oxford. What was the thinking for you behind that?
I've done a lot of strength training in my life. I've helped a lot of people slowly through training cycles get stronger in a nice, efficient, structured manner. I've seen the power of males and females as they've gotten stronger and feeling more just capable in tackling life. And I said, what we need is something is this an extension of current DEKA? Let's build as close to perfect of a foundational strength test, DEKA Atlas Foundation, where 99, let's just throw some loose stats out there. Ant and I doing a little research here. Let's say 99.9% of every human that's ever been born as a human race here, as you start getting older, in this case, 17 years old, we feel, if you will, through general work, maybe it's on the farm or just general activity, basic strength training. And in some cases, you need to use their gym to create this foundation of strength that 99.9% of the masses should be able to do. Okay. And then if you can cross the DEKA Atlas Foundation mark that we right now, probably less than 25% of the masses, 17 to 59s, that's our key age group in the middle. I'm guessing that less than 25% can cross the DEKA Atlas Foundation finish line. Well, that's unsat. In the military, we would call that unsatisfactory. That's unsat. I'm waving the BS flag to that. 99% of the world needs to be training to where they can cross the DEKA Atlas Foundation finish line. It's a great foundational strength test. That was the method of the madness there. Atlas provides that level up where, there's probably less than 5% that can do Atlas right now of adults. But that's like bang the chest. You damn right I'm strong. I've been working really hard at it. I'm not a power lifter, lifting crazy weights, but I'm very strong in a well-rounded manner. That's what Atlas will show you. It's kind of the chest banger, man. Be proud of yourself when you see yourself on an DEKA Atlas leaderboard. It's pretty freaking heavy and it's hard. And for both tests, you have to have a decent work capacity engine or your time cap. So it does check two boxes, both of them. I've got a good foundation of strength and I've got a good work capacity, meaning I don't have to take 2 or 3 minute breaks between each zone. I can just kind of roll right into that next zone. I may not be moving super fast, but I can put in a day's work.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the
motivation there is to want people to want to get stronger.
I want, in the perfect world, Ant, you and I would you'd help build this in a way with us to where the water cooler talk all over planet Earth is like, dude, I'm training for DEKA Atlas Foundation and I just crossed that finish line. And as they say, they now, Spartan, who created one of the largest fitness movements the world's ever seen, and they've got 3,000 gyms across the country and the world. that ecosystem feels that I now have a really good foundation of strength now.
Yeah.
And that's the standardized test.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know that's a lofty goal, but you tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think that test has ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the number of pictures and videos my wife has of me. I got my dry erase board over here. I'll be up at 3 a.m. sometimes on the dry erase board. Just nope, it's not right yet. We got to bend, tweak, and then I go out in the garage and they'll 3 a.m. I'm doing tests with. I've got this wild, crazy gym that's like pretty much 365 days a year. I have DOMs from just freaking testing stuff all the time. So lots of testing, and then bringing people over, going to local gyms, testing with various people. And that's when I came up with that. Probably less than 5% can do DEKA Atlas right now. And probably less than 25% can do DEKA Atlas Foundation. But 99% of adults, and we have the youth and the 14 to 16 and the 60 plus category, but 99% of adults, if they get off their butt and they'll start bolting on a basic, it doesn't have to be rocket science program, basic strength training a couple times a week, they damn sure will be able to cross that DEKA Atlas Foundation finish line. And then when you hear the Peter Attias talk about, this is exactly what happens when you roll into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and you've got a good foundation of strength. Non-debatable, longevity, quality of life. It all, if you accidentally do fall down, you're not broken to pieces. Mm-hmm. You can lift and carry and still do the types of active vacations you want to do and live that life you want to do, continue doing the type of work you want to do. And then you're 70, you're enjoying it with your grandkids because you got this resilient, strong body. Again, you don't have to be freaking Captain America, but you're proud of yourself. There's nothing wrong with being proud of the work you put in. Again, selfless with your time every now and then, because then you can be a selfless leader and servant leader to the rest of the people that are important in your life because you have taken care of yourself. So I get passionate about this, man, because
I love it. Because the way I see the DEKA strong, the DEKA mile, the DEKA fit stuff is it's for most people to just get better at life, right? So like you described, like it's all the simple movements. Like you should be able to lunge, you should be able to get up off the floor, you should be able to get over a 24-inch box, you should be able to do some sit-ups, you should be able to do all these movements, you should be able to carry, it's a medium weight, right? Like you should be able to pick up the groceries and carry them to the house, right? So it's all things just to make you better at life. Whereas what I see Atlas as, it sounds like, is it's a motivational thing to make you more useful in life. So like you're better at life if you can do this DEKA stuff. And most people, if you just train for it a little bit, you can get to the finish line. But if you can do this other thing that is Atlas, you're going to be more useful. Like you're going to be able to pick up your kids and carry them up the hill if you need to. If there's an emergency, we want you around to pick something up and move it. You're just more useful and throughout the rest of your life. Like, why should you not be able to pick up them 100-pound dumbbells? Why should you not be able to do 20 thrusters with 95 pounds? Like you just never know what situations you're going to be put in. And this is the motivation for that. And so it's interesting, right? Because I bet you went back and forth for a while. Like, is this counter to what we were doing with DEKA fit mile strong, right? Like you were going for everybody. And then all of a sudden, like, was there moments when you were like, I'm unsure if we should do this or?
Well, I think it's two slightly different goals.
Right.
To your point with DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile, and DEKA Fit, I think it's because, remember, we were a huge piece of that was trying to crack that code of why so many people are not testing their fitness.
Yeah.
That there hasn't been the right piece of whatever it is to motivate them to start taking action. And so it was important that they felt empowered. You know, they do it right next to Ryan Kent or Lauren Weeks or some of your badass athletes. And they're like, they see them turned inside out, and they did the same thing. We weren't trying to, we love that it empowers the cyborgs, but that's not who our goal was. We were trying to empower 99% of the world that they right now they can test their fitness. So yes, there's a very distinct difference. And Atlas is, I'll be super honest and transparent on this. I don't know if I've ever podcast, but the Atlas was absolutely a small piece of the equation, was to be a tip of the cap to all the current people that have taken care of themselves, that do have a good strength foundation, and allow them to kind of show off and kind of be proud of the fact that a very large percentage cannot do what they just did. And again, it's not like We're not doing powerlifting competitions here, folks. It's a
Mhm.
reasonable amount of weight that you and I both know as coaches for a long time. We could take any adult in that 17 to 59 range, and if they will dive into a relatively consistent cycle of strength training, maybe it's going to take a couple mesocycles, but they do it, most of them are going to get across that foundational finish line. And
Yeah.
then they can, if they want to, they can start trying to level up to Atlas. So it gave them something really, and you nailed it when you said, what if you're in an emergency situation?
Mhm.
I owe it to my wife and kids and everybody in my environment here that I need to be able to take action if I need to. I would never wish that on me or anybody else, but in the if perfect world, I never have to use it for that reason. I get to use it for the active vacations and carrying my kids up a mountain in Hawaii on my shoulder and being happy to do that.
Mm.
That's what it's all about. Or going to help my dad build fence all day in
Right.
the sun and work my ass off and lift heavy stuff. And like, no, I don't need to hire somebody to do that because I can do that. I can do that hard work I can dig that hole in the ground and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. So it is a little tip of the cap to the people that have taken care of themselves. Let's be transparent. At 53, the fact that I can step up to that heavy Atlas foundation, knock it out of the freaking park, I get pumped up about that.
Mm.
And yes, that's a little internal motivation to damn sure keep bolting on strength training into my life.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't do this or that like I used to when I was 23, but in a way, I'm more fit at 53 than I was even back then because I'm a little smarter with it. But I'm proud of the fact that I can do that. And I want more people feeling that way.
Yeah. And as a result of that, a stronger group of people, right? Like that's the motivation for you is you've empowered people to get to a start line. Now let's see how much we can motivate you. Like, okay, you've done the DEKA strong, you've done a DEKA mile, you've done a DEKA fit even.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's try this Atlas thing, see if you can get strong too. And it's pretty cool that, like, who knows? Like you said, I'd love to be a part. I'd love to look back on this in a couple of years' time, and like you said, it's like a baseline for people to know how useful they are. To know that like they can pick up a heavy bag and throw it over
Yep.
their shoulder and move something out of the way for someone, and just be a useful, general, physically
So,
fit person.
something that really fires me up is when you work with 370 gyms, they're all in different categories, different levels, and I'm thankful and I'm appreciative of the fact that you fully grasped the concept that, and I'd be remiss not to do a huge shout out and fist bump to our team. We have a small, amazing team, some behind the scenes, some forward facing that make it all happen. If this wild, crazy brain was responsible for making it all happen, the ship would sink overnight, dude. We got a lot of great people on the team that keep me organized and whatnot, and they are amazing. But you understand there's a certain percentage of our gym owners and fitness coaches and fitness directors and general managers and really and truly, they're members because they've taught the members well. They understand exactly why we did what we did, the
Mm.
importance of this testing and making it really inviting to the whole community. In your case, Atlanta or your little subdivision, wherever you are. That's not everybody quite gets it. Some of them take a couple years, maybe 5 or 6 events. But I always felt if I had a nickel for every time I brought up your name and your gym about, listen, guys, this is what Ant's doing down there at Oxfit. And, and I remember that very first call I had with you, dude, I remember your light bulb was like, his light bulb just turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And you started putting it into play. And
Yeah,
we're seeing a lot more of that.
Before I talked to you, I tried to do my own kind of like fitness race,
Mm-hmm.
and it was ridiculous. Nobody could finish it. People were throwing up. People quit, and I was like, "Ooh, I got that wrong." Like I was like, "Oh, I designed that for me." That was a test for me, and I was like, "That
Mm-hmm.
was a mistake." And I designed it for all my strengths, you know. And when I saw what you did, and then I saw, "Oh man, everybody can do this. This is amazing." And then for me, like as a 21-year-old, I've been like, "What are these RAM things?" And then I got them in the gym, and I was like, man, I don't mind if we get rid of all the barbells and use these, because like that person can pick it up and that person can pick it up. It doesn't scare that person over there. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the more people we can bring, what you call the world's most addictive, or
The world's most powerful drug, brother.
most
Fitness,
powerful
movement, and
drug,
exercise.
the better. And like you lose that romantic idea of what fitness is when
Mm-hmm.
you see that like you can make it more accessible to more people. And like you said, the best thing for me is seeing people across the finish line and get a medal, and they didn't have to. There was no excuses, because they can't say I was scared of something that's in DEKA fit, DEKA strong, DEKA mile. There's nothing that scares you. I don't like running. Okay, DEKA strong. Oh, I can't go to that event. Okay, well, we're doing it in the gym next week. Okay, well, I can't be here all day. Nope. Sign up for a heat. It'll take 20 minutes, just like regular class. Run out of excuses now, right? Like, there's no excuse. So now you're in here, you get your medal, and then you want to do it again. And just, you nailed it. And when I was talking to you, I was like, all right, like I said, whatever Yancy's doing, I'm doing. And then as soon as DEKA Atlas come up, I trust Yancy. So let's try it. Let's see where it ends up. And yeah, like, it might look different in 6 months than it looks now, right? We don't know, but I'm excited for a couple of weeks time when we get to do it.
One of the cool things that, talking about some of the stats that we're very proud of is, we've been able to pay gyms over $2.5 million with our rev share program. Early on, my good brother Jared Cogswell and I, we were like, I remember us saying, we got to be able to check 4 boxes for the gym owner: revenue generation, lead generation, member retention, exercise adherence. If we can check those 4 boxes, we'll have a lot of gym owners want to have a conversation with us. And when you look at the common participatory sports in the United States, I don't know the stats in the rest of the world, but probably relatively similar. 65% of tickets sold. When your members go out in town and bolt on to their test on something that comes to Atlanta, 65% of tickets are sold to men, 35% females. DEKA has been 51% females since we launched. And when you go to the DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile teams that happen inside your gyms, just like yours, it's about 60% females across the board. And we absolutely love that. It is a globally recognized sport designed for all levels, and 99% of the events in the past 5 years and the next 20 years will take place inside the gyms. And as you know, you have the ability to take it out in town. We've had gyms hold them at the town square in Little Rock, Arkansas, or inside a bar and restaurant down the street, or at the business that's got 200 employees that doesn't have a fitness program, and you've invited to bring. You've said, listen, I can bring it to your conference center and we'll test them inside your conference center. You can send them all to me. We've got rec centers. We got military bases that have bolted it on. The National Guard, with DEKA Fire, we're in talks with the administration. We have some really good talks with the prior administration and the current administration on making DEKA Fire the new presidential fitness test, the 10-zone bodyweight test. So there is a lot, but everything we do, we always said, will it accentuate and be a good bolt-on for you, the gym owner? Will it allow you to engage with your current members and your community in a way that makes sense? If it doesn't, we're not going to do it. That's our core foundation. If it's not about celebrating fitness for all levels, you versus you, and winning the caring game and being good for you, the gym owner, then it's outside of our scope of normalcy in our planning and scheming with what this is all about.
Dude, again, I just want to commend you for what you're doing. And just keep being you, because there's no chance in the next 5 years that I'll be able to get you on a podcast for 48 minutes. Like, once people realize what you've done over the last 5 years, because somehow it's staying under the radar of where the people in that are doing DEKA Atlas, and the people that are doing DEKA, and the people that know how special this is. And I can't wait to see where it goes next and where it ends up. And I feel very privileged to be a part of the start of it. And I look forward to just keeping it going and keep working with you guys and keep trying to get people across that finish line. And like you said, the amount of money you've given to gyms, the amount of people you've got into fitness, and the people that have walked through our doors, and they love it. So I appreciate it.
Well, I think a little bit I'll end with this. That was a little bit by design, and we kind of knew that, our model is going to be about 1,000+ gym events every single year in the United States alone. And that's going to continue scaling. Well, that's going to be where 100 to 150 people come. So it's not this big glamorous convention center, expo center where thousands of people are coming with the spectators. We love hosting those, and they're amazing, but that was never designed to be our number one goal. our true big event, and we mean this when we say it, is your event when 75 people come and celebrate fitness, and they brought a couple friends in. That's we knew that long term we would eventually win there if we could stay maniacally focused on that. And then, of course, we want to have extravagant big events, and like our competitor High Rocks, man. I love what they're doing. We support it. Just like us, they're pulling people off the couch, but it's just a different focus on the huge event. We love those as well, but we will never, ever, ever put anything above those 75, 80 people that come to your event this Saturday.
To close it out, when I first talked to you, I remember being like, I want to do a big one. I want to do a DEKA Fit and all that stuff. And the more I've done them in the gym, the more I want it to always be at the gym, because it's like a celebration of fitness in the place where it means the most to the people that do it, right? And so like it's like a fitness festival at the gym every time we do it, and we want to just keep growing our festival at our location. And if people eventually catch on and understand what's going on, and just how special it is. And I'm glad you. I don't remember how we ended up connecting, but I'm glad we connected, and it was meant to be for us to be a part of DEKA. So I appreciate you.
Same here, brother. And I said I was going to end with this a minute ago, but I will end with this. I promise. Yes, that competition is crazy important, and how it's designed, and getting them that, and then that medal and that T-shirt. But at the end of the day, that conversation that two people have, that is inside your brick and mortar, is magical. The hugs, that judge that spends 30 minutes with this lady or this guy that goes down, they've never met before, but then they embrace at the end, and that judge puts a medal around their neck and invites them to hang around, and that person that's 5'5" they look like they're 5'8" with their shoulders rolled back, and they've got this huge grin on their face, and they've had one of the greatest days of their life because they realized how powerful it was to test their fitness, and they realized it was me versus me, and then they're like, and they experienced it. They experienced the value of getting the heart rate up and feeling the thump in the muscles. And then, the world's greatest drug, man. So that's that community. What I meant to get my mind wrapped around was the community that happens inside OxFit's every time, OxFit Gym, every time you host these events. It's very, very, very powerful, brother.
Yeah. All right, Yancy. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Much love.
Appreciate you. And I hope I get to do it again soon with you. And can't wait to meet you soon in person.
I'd love to come. I'd love to snap my fingers and be in an event at every single one of our affiliates in the United States. But man, you've been good to us, and just for having me on. I would love to make it to Atlanta, and gyms fly me out sometimes, and I'll go to events. But I'd love to be at one at your gym one of these days, brother.
Yeah,
listen, have a great weekend, brother. Much love to you and your family and your